Hello and welcome to the Sana Psychological Podcast, your safe space for connection, healing, and growth. Each episode, our experienced clinicians and special guests will share strategies, stories, and resources to support your unique path to well-being. Because at Sana, your mental health matters. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Sana Psychological Podcast. If you joined us last time, you know that we were talking about going more analog in our day-to-day life, not using any techniques that are too extreme or unrealistic, but just trying to build in more balance into our lives, reduce some of that constant stimulation that we're getting to see how it feels, and improve our well-being. At the end of the podcast last episode, I had given a bit of a teaser that this week we were going to talk about how to support kids and youth in this goal of introducing more analog activity into life. I had said last time that a lot of adults who are bringing in more analog time and activity, they're doing this excitedly, openly, willingly, and often in rebellion to how they're feeling, and knowing that some of how they're feeling is attributed to technology and that stimulation. But what about kids and youth? Have they had enough experience in life to feel the impact of this in a negative way? Or are they caught in the newness of this intoxication? I think for a lot of kids and youth, they are still in that zone where it just seems like the thing to do. It's what everyone around them is doing. It's what often has been modeled. And so that just becomes a normal part of life. And I think as some youth and teens are getting a bit older, I've definitely seen and heard some stories where, older teens, maybe 15 through 18 or 19, are recognizing that they're just spending too much time on screens and devices and are naturally trying to put that down for more periods of time and do other things, maybe pick up an instrument or learn a language, go hang out with friends in person, go walk around, go to the mall, go do things that don't have their face in a screen all the time. But what about for the concerned parents and guardians out there who do have kids that just feel like they've lost them to their phone and technology? This is definitely a tougher issue because often in response to that, parents will shift into rules, restriction, which are intended to help, but unfortunately often make the problem worse. Children are growing up in this attention economy that adults and parents themselves struggle to navigate. So while the goal is often less screen time, maybe we can shift that. Maybe the deeper goal could actually be something else. And when we're looking at the goal as something else, maybe that gives everyone, parents and kids, more opportunity to look at change in a healthy and helpful way, rather than in an antagonistic or defensive or controlled way. So maybe the goal is just a deeper desire to help our children build rich offline lives. One of the most effective ways to reduce screen dependence isn't through punishment, it's not through restriction, and it's not through rules. I think some of the main things that parents can really do, one is modeling. Look at your own relationship with your phone and technology. Are you doing what you would hope your kids to do? Or are you actually doing what they're doing? And maybe part of the strong emotional response you're having to their actions and behaviors is rooted partially in some of your own frustration, maybe some guilt and some shame that you are doing the things that you don't want them to do. It's like eating an unhealthy meal, knowing that it's not good for us, and then asking someone else to eat healthily. We don't feel great in that space because we know that we're not consuming something healthy. And we also don't feel very confident in our ability to ask the other to do something different because we didn't do it ourselves. So, for the parents who are listening, or guardians, teachers, whoever you are, if you interact regularly with kids and you're hoping to see them make a change in their behavior, step number one is I would recommend that you make some changes in your behavior. You may want to hop back to our last episode and just listen to some of the ideas that I provided on how to introduce more analog activity into your day. Again, this doesn't have to be anything extreme. We're not talking about getting rid of your phone and getting just an old flip phone or a landline. It's okay to have technology. We just want to have that in more balance and with more intentionality. So for you, it might mean just starting to create more boundaries with when, where, and what you're engaging with technologically. If you're making some of these changes, that can open up some really authentic and meaningful dialogue with your kids, because now they're seeing you engage in some of the changes that you might be talking about are beneficial for them to explore. So we want to make the second thing that we can do for supporting our kids. Number one is to look at our own modeling and behavior. And the second is to just start creating a fundamental shift in the household dynamics, the classroom dynamics, wherever you are that you're supporting kids and youth. So making the non-digital world feel more meaningful and more routine. Kids naturally gravitate towards what feels engaging, connecting, creative, and emotionally rewarding. So if we base that on more analog activities, guess what? It might not happen immediately, and there may be some resistance there, but over time, kids will gravitate to those other activities that are starting to become more of the norm in your environment and with what's around them. So if you have art supplies available and more visible, and that's what you're picking up in moments of free time versus picking up a phone, kids are naturally going to gravitate to that. They might start to pick those up more as well. Easier access to outdoor play, more activities where you go out, you're doing things that are engaging, that take up a lot of time, where there aren't screens that are as involved. Yeah, they might pick up their phone to text a friend or take pictures. And even that's something you can explore. Maybe when you go out for certain events, maybe the family habit starts to be that we leave our phones and devices somewhere or put them all in a bag and someone carries that and we pick them out after. Just trying to move away from a phone being attached and connected to everything that you do. Doing more activities together. That could be playing games, doing tasks and chores, doing, fun outings, visiting with other families or friends, building social connection, getting involved in extracurricular activities. Anything that, again, moves us into that slower, differently paced analog life so that we're living life. We're not just always escaping into the screens in front of us. Having more books around the house, which you're picking up and reading more regularly, and also that they have access to. Getting them involved in picking and choosing some of these activities, these books, the games, the art supplies. Have this be a family project, not just something you're bringing home and feeling like it's being forced on them. You want to invite your kids that these are things they can do. They're not things they should do or have to do or are forced to do. That's going to incite a reflexive response where they're not going to want to do it. Do you want to do things when you're told that you have to do them? You may still do them, but you're less likely to enjoy them because of that forceful feeling. So inviting, making these things, again, just more of a natural part of the routine of the household. Getting your kids more involved in hands-on things, hands-on tasks, cooking, meal preparation, cleaning, getting them involved in even kind of side projects, fixing things, building things, gardening, taking care of pets, just doing different things in the home that builds that sense of connection. I know for a lot of you listening, when you were kids, you had time to just be bored. And that's something that is very quickly evaporating from all of our lives, adults and kids. So, trying to get back to this idea of unstructured time and really just trying to encourage yourself and your kids to be creative, be explorative, see what you could bring into that time rather than just defaulting to the screen. Sometimes children use screens quite heavily because all the other alternatives feel less stimulating by comparison. And there's truth to that. There's a reason that we are all so absorbed in our phones and technology. Those quick bites of reels and videos and quick texts and things back and forth is naturally more stimulating for our brains. But with that stimulation does come the side effect of more input. And that input can actually activate feelings of restlessness, irritability, anxiety. And so it can trigger these quite uncomfortable emotional responses, which then ironically, we're also turning to technology to help us soothe. So we're caught in this cycle where the thing that we're turning to might actually be activating some of these uncomfortable feelings inside of us. And yet we're turning even more to that technology as a coping device. So even some discussion about this within the family, within the household, within the classroom can be helpful so that kids and youth start to understand the neurobiology in kind of really basic, simple terms so that they have more understanding of the impact of what they're consuming. And that empowers them to then make more conscious decisions for themselves. And yes, even kids and youth, they are capable of making some conscious choices for themselves. They do need guidance and support and education from adults and guardians around them. But that paired with modeling, paired with just looking at their own feelings and how they're doing inside, can result in some of that shifting and that change. Something that's really important for parents, especially, but anyone who works with kids to keep in mind is that kids notice our habits more than our rules. If you as an adult are constantly checking your phone during conversations, meals, or quiet moments, kids absorb that behavior as normal. But if they see adults reading, cooking, fixing things, making art, gardening, talking, walking, doing these things as well as being on a screen from time to time, that becomes normal too. So culture is modeled before it's instructed. We want to move more to our actions as the template, as the model, as the norm, versus focusing it on rules, control, restriction. Try and create screen-free zones instead of just feeling like you're in kind of constant, endless battles with your kids. So examples of that could include trying to move away from phones at dinner time. Everyone puts them away, comes together, eats their meal, has some conversation. Trying to move away from devices in the bedrooms overnight. We all go out, buy some fun alarm clocks, get some books, get some things that everyone can do to help them unwind at the end of the day. Talk about how this is feeling, how this is going, and make this a household sort of cultural project. Build a different culture in your home. Don't make it something that they have to do and you're just watching or controlling. Nobody responds very well to that. And that's where that real adversarial nature of the parent-child fight around screen time can really begin. You might also move towards more of a kind of analog activity night every week or on the weekend. So again, not just focusing on it as we're screen free. We don't need to focus on the lack or the absence of something. Let's focus on the presence of what we're trying to build in. So really building in more time together, different types of activities, bringing in that sense of fun and entertainment so that kids can see there's other options, different ways for them to entertain and look after themselves. It might also be tech-free car rides, put on just an AM or FM radio station, don't have any sound, and just have a conversation. Maybe play some car games like you would when you're on a longer road trip. These are things that you can do in your day-to-day life, which promote engagement and move us into that analog space where things are a bit slower, but things are calmer. Things are more balanced and calmer, fundamentally. We also want to normalize boredom. This is a huge thing. Boredom is not failure. It's often the beginning of creativity. And children who are allowed to experience boredom more often will frequently become more inventive of games, stories, drawings, ideas. They'll feel and experience different things that motivate them differently. Screens remove our boredom instantly, but boredom has developmental value. It teaches self-direction and can be a real inspiration for creativity, focus, and fun in a very different way. So as parents, I know that you may be feeling deeply concerned about your child's relationship with screens and technology. And I know that your knee-jerk reaction is to want to control that and want to change that in a hands-on way. And today, I really want you to think about more gently creating some change in yourself and as well in your household culture, that those become the models of action. Those things are not going to happen overnight. So this does require patience, it requires self-compassion, and it requires you to also be navigating your own worries, fears, and stress about your kids and how they're doing. But as you start making some changes for yourself, as you introduce some different routines and different habits into your household, you will start to notice this gradual shift happening. People will follow, including your kids. And so these are some changes that you can start making today to start thinking about where you would like to prioritize more connection, less screen time, and what would be some alternatives if the screens are down. What do you want to be doing instead? Do you want to be offering that unstructured time? That might be a little bit challenging at first. So you may want to offer more kind of activity options so that kids know some of the things that they could choose to do instead of their screens and technology. And as they engage with those more, hopefully you'll see more balance within yourself, within them, and in your household in general. I really enjoyed talking about this topic for last week's episode and today. I think it has so much value and so much meaning. And I really believe that the feelings that are coming out of our engagement with technology are really at the core of so many of our mood and emotional experiences right now. And so just being able to shift this is such a profound gift that we can give to ourselves and to those that we love and care about. Thank you so much for listening today. Really appreciated you being here, and I look forward to talking with you in next week's episode. Thank you for listening to the Sana Psychological Podcast. We're glad you joined us today. For more resources, free tools, or to book a session with our team, visit sanapsychological.com. Your mental health is our priority. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and take good care.